Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, No Cure for Happy, a breast cancer information community. Just a reminder, my diagnosis, I have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer with bone and lung metastases. And I have lymphangitic carcinomatosis as well as pleural effusion. To complicate matters, so if you are in the throes of advanced metastatic breast cancer disease, you may be familiar with those two terms. And if you are, please tell me about your experience with lymphangitic carcinomatosis in the comments, because nobody's talking about it. Maybe we should here. All right, moving on. Where have I been for the last 4 months? Well, I've been living life and having PET scans. So I had a PET scan in September, which you guys are aware of. I threw around the term remission. Everything was going good. There was a healing response. Go back and watch that last video if you want all the details. Since then, I've had another PET scan, and it didn't go as well as we had hoped. So I'm going to give you the lowdown, okay? Where do I begin? So I have new disease progression in spite of being on treatment. The disease progression is in my bones. So I have new lytic lesions or osteolytic lesions in a couple spots on my bones in spite of being on treatment. So what does this mean? So some of the disease is stable and some of the disease is still progressing in spite of treatment. So is this treatment resistance? And if so, what is treatment resistance? So I'm going to explain it to you in layman's terms here. I have my little notes. So what is treatment resistance? Treatment resistance is when some cancers which rely on estrogen over time can lose their estrogen receptor expression. And some cancer cells can mutate to keep the estrogen reception active even without estrogen. So that makes any estrogen suppression therapy ineffective. So I might remind you that I'm on both leuprolide injections, sometimes called Lupron, as well as anastrozole. So I'm also on ribociclib, which is a CDK4 or 6 inhibitor, and over time, cancer can bypass the targeted inhibition by creating new pathways. Essentially, genetic mutations. So some of the cancer can remain stable and remain the way that it looked when it was first diagnosed, and some of the cancer cells can mutate and start to clone themselves and progress anyways. So is this genetic mutation? We don't know. How do we find that out? Well, there's 2 common genetic mutations that we could pick and guess. One of them is actually called PIK3, or P13KCA to be more specific. Some people just call it PIK3. And then the other one is 4AKT, otherwise known as ACT1. Those 2 are really common mutations. And there's a new drug that's coming out. I don't have a timeline for that. It's called inavolisib. And you take that with fulvestrant, which is a different kind of hormone suppressant. But the timeline for when those drugs are going to be released is I'm not aware of the timeline. It's soon, but it's probably not soon enough. So what do we do in the meantime? Well, first of all, we're going to do, I guess I'm going to go over the next steps with you. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through this so that you guys don't get bored and leave, but leave if you want to. If you have stuff to do, I get it. Basically, the next steps are to have radiation to slow down the progression of those spots and also provide some pain relief. it takes time to meet with a radiation oncologist, so I want to make the best, most productive use of that time that I have to wait. So I don't want to just assume that I have the P13KCA or the 4AKT genetic mutations in case I don't. And then waiting for the inavolisib would be useless because inavolisib wouldn't work, and then all those nasty, yucky side effects that go along with inavolisib and fulvestrant, you'd be stuck with those. So that wouldn't be good. So I'm going to do next generation sequencing, NGS, next gen sequencing. And the province doesn't cover that cost. But lucky me, there's a study. And if I provide a tissue sample, they will do the sequencing. And it's actually a very broad test. So it doesn't just check for the P13KCA or the 4AKT genetic mutations, it tests for a lot more. And even though there may not be drugs on the market that are targeting those genetic mutations, it will help inform future treatment decisions. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do some radiation, and we're going to do a bone biopsy, and then we're going to do genetic sequencing, NGS. There you go. Am I going to stay on my current treatment? Yeah, I'm going to stay on the ribociclib, the anastrozole, and the Lupron for now. And I really hope that this is just a little bump in the road and that I don't have to change my medicine routine, because I'll be honest with you, fulvestrant, if you're on it, can you comment down below and let me know what it's like? Because the Lupron injections are sub-Q, so they're not as painful as like an intramuscular, and the fulvestrant isn't intramuscular, and I'm a baby. I'm just a suck. Put your comments below if you're on fulvestrant and you're having a good time on it, okay? I want to hear from you. But I don't want to change my medicine routine. You get used to something and then it's like you just want to stay on it. But if it's not working, it's not working, and I get it. So we're going to find out what genetic mutations I have. Obviously, there's some reason why there's disease progression in spite of treatment. So those are the next steps. I just wanted everyone to know that it looks to me like this is just normal. This is disease management 101. So you work and work and work to find stability with the disease. And when you get there, you work and work and work to stay there. And so you do scans to survey things, and you do tests to make sure that everything looks okay. But when things start looking not okay, then you have to start acting on that. And so when the disease inevitably becomes unstable again, you just work really hard to restabilize it. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is we are working towards restabilizing things. And I will get there. It's just going to take time. And it's, of course, not always easy. And it, of course, is not always peaceful. And there's a lot of self-advocation. So, for example, the bone biopsy, I'm almost positive they want me to do it under local anesthetic. And I'm more positive, not equally positive, I'm actually more positive that I'll be doing it under more than just local anesthetic. And that's something that I'll have to fight for. I'll be told how there isn't time, there aren't enough resources, and I'll still push back and say, no, I want to be comfortable, and that's okay. You guys have to do the same thing. You have to fight for what you know is right, and some might call me a suck, and maybe that's true. Maybe I'm just a big baby, and that's okay. I've been through enough. If you're having a bone biopsy, there's a really good chance that there's a lot of other crap going on around you. So it's not like, oh, la-di-da, just a quick bone biopsy. It's actually as stressful as it sounds. So lucky me, I've had the experience of having 2 bone marrow extractions, slightly different procedure, but actually in the same bones. So they're going to biopsy the same bones that I've had drilled, poked. I don't know what a bone marrow biopsy is technically, but I know that they put like a little device in me that sort of got into the core of my bone somehow and then sucked out some juice. But they're not doing that this time. This time they want like a hard tissue sample. So cross your fingers for me, guys, that the bone biopsy goes well and that they get a really viable sample and that I get unambiguous, really, really, really specific, good, thorough genetic sequencing so that we can better decide what treatment to go on next. And that's all from me for now. Put your questions and comments and feedback in the comments section. And I will see you when I see you in the next video.